Hey ho, good neighbors, what's going on? It's Thursday night. I hope you guys had great holidays and everybody was doing well and Santa spoiled you. We got a good show tonight. As always, we like to spotlight indie creators who are working hard behind the scenes. We don't get the glory, but we do have the passion. We got a panel on tonight, some really great talent, people that I'm meeting for the first time, and we're going to have fun. So without further ado, we're going to get started. We're going to bring everybody on, and then we're going to talk about Madcaps, the Madcaps, which is a really cool fantasy comic book. It's coming out very soon by Ray Jameson, which you'll know him as DM Ray on Facebook. He is the creator writer, but he's got some of the team here, and man, the book looks beautiful, professional coloring, everything. It looks fantastic. So without further ado, we'll start with Ray. What's going on?
Hello there.
Senor Kemp, the colorist.
Hello.
Micah Myers.
Ray, don't laugh.
Hiya.
Sean Langley.
Hi there.
GM Macleods. No, he's not the Highlander.
Yeah, well, it might be. Nice.
There can be only one.
There can only be one.
I'll refrain from my horrible Connery impression.
Only be one.
So, welcome, guys. Thanks for coming on. Fantastic work on this book. You should all be proud.
Very proud of him. Very excited. Looks great, by the way, DM Ray. I can't wait to see this thing.
Thank you kindly.
So we're going to go clockwise, Ray to Dan, to Micah, to Sean, to GM. Just tell us a little bit about yourselves and, you know, what your part is in this project, and then we'll get into it. Start with you, Ray.
Okay, Ray Jameson, as already stated, known as DM Ray on Facebook, lover of tabletop RPGs, comic books, really good stories, and camaraderie. I am the writer of this book, miniseries, 3 issues, launching soon. Very excited to finally share what has felt like forever of keeping tight-lipped about.
Very cool.
Very cool. Dan.
Starting, or next is
How's
Dan.
it going, everybody?
Oh, you must have froze. We thought you were done. You just went quiet for a minute.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I may have the worst link. I may just toss it on Mike really quick, see if we can suss this. 2 seconds. Let's see if I'm better on this.
You got it.
Okay. How do I say? Okay, is this working a little bit better?
Works for us.
Yeah, you know, you guys. Okay, excellent. I'm what you call a colorist. I color comic books for a living, and I did Spawn for quite some time. I did Amazing Spider-Man for a few years. Oh gosh, I've done everything in the industry, left and right. So DC, Marvel, Wolverine Origins, Bullseye, got to work with, oh God, everybody. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have much of an ego, but I do have a lot of work behind me. So, and Ray contacted me when he found out that I was available. So I said, hey, let's do this, you know. Is that a good intro?
I think it's pretty good.
Yes, it's fine.
Yeah, I have to tell you, man, your
All right.
colors just blew me away. Yeah, fantastic stuff.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Micah.
And, I'm Micah Myers. I'm a letterer, a comic book letterer, a 2-time Ringo nominee. Worked for DC and Image, Dark Horse, Mad Cave, just about everybody. Yeah, it's me. Just lettering books and staying in my little office cave.
Now, I'm going to tell you, letterers don't get the credit when they do the job right, but they sure as hell get all the hell when they do it wrong. A letterer makes or breaks a book, and nobody talks about them. If it's lettered poorly, no matter how great the art of the writing is, that book is ruined. It's bad. You can't follow it. You don't know where you're going. And there is a science to lettering that I don't think gets enough credit. So, you know, kudos to you, Micah, for what you do and on the professional level.
Oh, thank you. Definitely.
Sean.
Yes. My name is Sean Langley. I've been privileged to do interiors and cover art on a lot of different indie comic books, including the the Rejected from Source Point Press and Stan Kanoka, and Rapid City series from my buddy Josh Dahl in Boston and a few others. Mostly these days, actually, the only book that I'm technically working on right now is the cover for the Madcaps, and it's mostly just a lot of basic like horror and cryptid artwork and commissions right now.
I like your recent one of Stitch. That one is just, it makes me chuckle because it's so like gnarly, if you will.
Dude, did you see the Mickey Mouse one I posted earlier this evening?
Oh, yeah. With the actual rat skull coming out of the Mickey Mouse mouth, and it's like peeling back like a mask. It's wild.
I just want to get all the hate.
Nice.
If you got a childhood thing that you like, that you fond memories of your childhood, don't tell me, because I'll be like Kirkman on The Walking Dead. If you tell me your favorite character, I'm going to kill him off and ruin it.
Captain Kangaroo, Mr. Rogers.
No, not Captain Kangaroo.
I got a zombie Mr. Rogers already, but I haven't thought of Captain Kangaroo. So
nice.
Yeah.
I like his zombie Bob Ross. That's a good one.
Elmo.
Oh, you guys give me some ideas, and people are they're already upset with the Mickey Mouse one. So
oh, it's amazing. Hilarious.
Yeah, Shark also.
If you're not pissing somebody off, you're doing it wrong.
Right?
And I think the best part is the skull coming out of the mouth. There's one little eye just deep enough looking out, just to add to that next level of creepy.
Every time I do it, I try to do a creepy eye. I try to copy the same eyeball, which is, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those eyes were the most like unsettling, unfeeling, emotionless eyes I've ever seen in any creature. And it just, they're there, but they're just like staring through your soul. And that's what I try to put in whenever I do type of like a creepy eye with anything. It's something that resembles that. That's what kind of I copy.
What about the eye of Lopan from Big Trouble in Little China? That thing that looks like a beholder, all the little eyes.
Yeah.
It's got an eye on the end of its tongue.
Yeah.
They were kind of goofy though, but yeah, I know what you're talking about with Shin Godzilla. And GM McLeod of Clan McLeod.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Hey, what do you need? I don't know. Oh, there he is.
It's got sound effects. I gotta hire him.
Oh man,
Great.
well, you guys, it's an introduction. So this is the first time I'm meeting a lot of you. DM Ray and I go back, and I'm just a big fan of this, comic book he's doing, or graphic novel. What are you calling it? Do we have a hardback?
I'm just calling it a miniseries. It's 3 issues, so not quite 70 pages total.
Fantastic. And you know the guy in Hollywood to option that thing to make it into movies and TV shows, right? It's your friendly neighborhood GM.
Friendly neighborhood GM McLeod's.
So yeah, I'm in Hollywood. I produce television and films. I've done nearly 300 episodes of television, a bunch of films, working on all of that right now as well, delivering an exciting series to Paramount, due on the 15th. So I actually don't have a lot of time right now. And I stopped my upload to them for this, because otherwise it would be squashed out and you wouldn't see or hear me. So it's really exciting stuff. And yeah, so I option comic books. I do books. I have a book with a series on AMC going up this year. It's a big mob thing called The Tailor, which is great. And so I'm always taking stories and developing them for Hollywood. So that's basically me. I love the Mickey Mouse thing because, this new thing where, Disney is putting stuff into the public domain. It's really exciting for someone like me, but they've already announced the Mickey Mouse Steamboat horror movie. And these are the guys that did the Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Oh,
They
nice.
said they weren't looking to do it. They decided to do it.
They did it. Yeah, they announced it. And I got to be honest, that Winnie the Pooh thing, I just watched it because it's Winnie the Pooh, and I was confused. I was like, why are they doing? Well, whatever. I hated it, and I love horror films. I'm making horror films now. I work with hopefully Christopher Landon. He's he just turned down Scream 8 or 7 or whatever the hell it's on now, but he's the hottest thing in horror. So, I don't know, maybe there's something to a twisted mouse, zombie mouse that we can work out or figure out something here. So that's me basically. And I play D&D. I play mainly Pathfinder, but Mothership, Blades in the Dark. It goes back to the Gamma Worlds and Boot Hills in the, 80s for me. So, and we have a channel, RPG Allstars. So that's RPG Allstars is pretty easy to remember. So that's where you'll find our content.
Some
the channel's on
award-winning
YouTube.
content came out of that YouTube channel.
That's true. We did win Gen Con this year for best series. So that, yeah,
Oh,
thanks.
cool.
That was a Star Wars RPG. It's called Edge of the Empire. So it's
Not Another New Hope.
Not Another New Hope is the title of that, because we wanted to knock on something, and that's that's what we knocked, a New Hope. So this is not Another New Hope, and the whole series takes place around a clone of Princess Leia that no one had any idea that that was made when she was detained as a slave. So her DNA was extracted the night that she was at with Jabba the Hutt, and so this clone sort of escapes on the first episode, and she has no idea who she is. So it's just great to watch her.
Oh, wow.
My favorite character out of that is the diplomacy droid. That sounds exactly like Christopher Walken.
Yeah, we have a walking droid.
Freaking hilarious.
Yeah, that's really great. I got
freaking hilarious.
We cast it straight off of TikTok. I got the best voice imitators you could get, and it's a lot of fun. So, yeah, that's me. Yep.
Well, welcome. Good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys.
You might be getting a lot of DMs after that announcement.
Anytime, GM Macleods, man. I'm on Facebook is the easiest way to get a hold of me. GM Macleods or RPG Allstars. Yeah, thank you.
If you're looking for comic to movie potential, I won't say who here because they'll get angry I'm promoting them, but look up a series called Tragedy. I think that would be an interesting inquiry, but I won't say any more about that.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say.
Looking it up right now. Awesome.
Well,
By Filbo Studios.
Awesome.
yeah.
Filbo Publishing, sorry, not studio.
So, well, that's fine. So that's a very interesting position that you hold, which, like I said, you've probably grabbed attention of people here. There are probably a lot of hungry, thirsty people are going to be jumping at you. But so how is it doing what you do? It's pretty cutthroat, isn't it? I mean, it's you deal. I mean, it's money, but it's also fame and notoriety and prestige and who knows who and who's got what. And,
yeah, I think we have some really exciting announcements coming out very soon. I'm shaking in like the excitement of one of them because it's D&D centric, and like I can't wait. So yeah, it's a roller coaster. I've been working in the industry since '93, and I started I started at Paramount Recording, so I was in a recording studio, and then went to Sony, Warner Brothers, and went out on my own and was an executive producer with ITV for 4 years. I left that because I got a bunch of my own series off the ground. So yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and it's a sine wave, like everything in life, right? Like writing comic books, there's the highs and lows and the
ups and the downs. Yeah.
I've been really into like manifesting lately because I feel like as long as you straighten your head, like the universe gets it, so that's been my pure focus this year, and it's been working out. So we'll see.
how do you separate the fanboy from the business part of it, though?
My wife is also an actress, so she was in a series called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's sought after a lot, and
I love that show.
Oh, I do too. It's one of the best. And we remain friends with like Juliet Landau. Like she's on our show.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because she'll actually play D&D or something like it with me. Whereas
wow.
My wife will not play. She doesn't get it. Certain people get it.
I love D&D, but I'm bad at it. So I always end up doing trying to do something that you could only succeed at if you roll good, and then I roll bad. So
those are my favorite players.
Yeah, I roll.
I still love
that
the
adds
game.
To the story is what that is.
Yeah.
Last time I played a 10-foot tall half orc, and I'm a short guy, so go figure, right? And,
well, it's role play.
Right, and exactly. And I tried to pick up a large boulder and throw it on a mountainside behind a bunch of lizard guys that were shooting arrows at us. And the DM was a friend of mine, just kind of sighed and said, "All right, roll." And it was like a 2.
Oh boy!
Said, well, that drops on your head. You're knocked out. We're using you for a meat shield for arrows.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the sound effect you get with it too. Yeah.
My wife rolls like a champ. I roll terribly.
Oh, man.
I roll like Will Wheaton.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing. You said you played more Pathfinder. I'm old school TSR, but
Mhm.
Pathfinder I think is really interesting. But man, they really get detailed with the math and the weight and the gold and what you can carry,
yeah.
and it's so realistic. I respect that about it, but I don't have the patience for the math.
Well, two has lightened it up a lot.
Has it?
But I still love one, and I love 3.5 D&D 3.5.
Yeah,
It's my
yeah.
favorite because it is so crunchy and creative, and I don't know.
Now,
yeah.
I'm old school where we don't use figures on maps and stuff. It was all in the head and it was all verbal and it was all imagination. Now, I understand why people have gotten into the figures on the maps, but to me, it becomes a miniature game when you do that.
Yeah,
I just love. Go ahead.
I got back into it because I was playing a game and like I have hordes of towns and like
Oh wow.
If you know Dwarven Forge, like I have built my own my own world with all these things, and so like
pretty sweet builds.
Thanks. Yeah, they didn't have like a caravan, and this isn't the best one, but so I just started building stuff for our campaigns, and that's honestly that's how I kind of got back into it because this guy had a great mini collection, and I was making the trains and sets, and then I was like, oh screw it, I'm gonna buy my own $15,000 worth of minis, which is honestly what happened. Thanks for the sweet build, and yeah, so our channel has some good quick builds that anybody could do, and then it's got some pretty detailed things that you really want to take your time with. So that's how I got into it. And I love the map. I love the physical map. For some reason, it just tickles my brain. Like I'm like, oh, maybe because it's a set for me. Obviously I like lighting, and
Right.
my Christmas present from my wife. One of them was let's see if I can get it up. Oh, there it is. It's a smoke machine that I can link out. I can put it on the board. But how great is that? So yeah, I'm really into the production.
Man, we got the Big Bang Theory going on here.
You really do. You hit the mother load.
That's great. That is so cool, and it's cool to see that you're part of that business side of things, but you're such a big fanboy.
Yeah,
I think the industry needs that. To try to have that. That daringness to try something new, go for something that they haven't seen before, not doing the same old thing, and burning it into the ground. Because there's not a lot of originality coming out these days because they're trying to play it safe and close to the vest,
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It is a very safe playing industry. I've been chastised several times throughout the experience. I mean, don't go near Reddit because that's just all. Don't post anything on Reddit. Oh, good Lord.
That's like the Twitter cesspool. I don't go to either one of those.
Good Lord. Yeah. I still do it because for a short video, if you post something, you get like 20,000 views in no time. So it's worth it if you can make it through the gatekeepers and like secretly kind of like navigate it. So it seems like an educational thing for people or, whatever you're posting. Right. It's like, oh, well, we'll keep it going.
Cool. Just remind people where they can find you, RPG Allstars on YouTube, and that's it. Anywhere else?
Well, GM Macleods, Game Master Macleods, and that's on YouTube. That's everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and also RPG Allstars. And RPG Allstars, we actually created a website last year. Had a friend do that. So RPGallstars.com. I think that's the easiest. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, can you do virtual games through that website?
We do.
Or do you have like a...
We do, and I mostly do film them and take them in the post to really edit them down. Our new series, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to sweep it into other festivals and do other things with it this year. We took 2 hours and crunched it down into 20 minutes. And when I say it's 20 minutes, if you shut your eyes, you are listening to an awesome show. Like it's like you'd see it on I don't know, FX network. So we've really taking it to the max, and I think after this, I might get a little bored and going to have to do something else. Maybe improv comedy. Ray, what do you think?
I'm interested. If you're looking for anybody for an occasional guest, definitely.
Always.
Just bring the sound effect board with you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've thought about twisting your comics into RPG world, right? TTRPG.
Well, it's funny you mention that. Decent segue. When we go to launch this comic, which is in the not too distant future, it's coming up. What what I want to do, and a couple people on this panel are already aware, Jim Macleods is going to be one of the players. I'm going to be the game master. And we have a couple of artists on the panel. We don't have the full squad yet confirmed, but basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be running a prequel to this comic book. So anybody who's on the fence of whether or not they want to invest into a 3-issue miniseries with issue number 1 coming out right away, they can watch this prequel played out with 5th edition D&D and get a feel and a flavor for the atmosphere around these characters. And yeah, kind of just a little preview, a little taste, wet their whistle.
I want the best character.
You want the best one?
I want to the best character.
Well, you know that joke, always a bridesmaid, never a bride?
Yes.
Well, always a GM, never a player. In your case, I'll definitely make sure you got a solid character.
The good thing about giving me somebody that has like the +10 sword, which, you know, don't ever give anybody a +10 sword.
But I'll make you a wizard that can't wield it.
I will never use it. Like that, you nailed it. Like I'll never hit anybody with it, and everybody gets pissed. They're like, "Would you hit the damn thing?" It's like,
hey, natural 20 is a natural 20.
Yeah. Awesome.
It'd be something like the Vorpal sword, where you natural 20 is an instant beheading. The wizard does it. That would just be epic.
There he goes.
We're gonna be filming that in early March. And we will be releasing it before the Kickstarter launches. We'll just use it so everybody, it's on their radar. This is a new story. I'm relatively speaking a new writer. There's a lot of ifs and maybes. And people nowadays, do I want to put this much money on an indie comic?
Yeah.
Well, this will kind of help them decide if it's worth the investment.
Love it.
And it is. I mean, I got to read it. Obviously, we'll, you know, for reasons you'll be, you know, we'll divulge soon. But it's well written. Characters are likable. There's a lot of camaraderie, as Ray said, which is always a great thing. You know, I mean, we love buddy cop stories and stuff. Well, this is a group of guys that in a fantasy D&D world, and it's a different story. It's not a typical fantasy story, which I like. But you do obviously have elements of that, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, and it's just a really fun, enjoyable read, and it flows well. I mean, you said you're a new writer, but you wouldn't know it by reading it. So, and then again, looking at the team you've assembled and what they've done with it. I mean, I got to see the black and white pages, and you know, you say, all right, the art looks great, and then Dan just doing what Dan's been doing for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I looked at it, and let me tell you something, Dan. I am partially colorblind, so no colors pop for me. They don't pop. But I looked at your page, is like, whoa, that's bright. That's fantastic. Wow. And I'm like, everything's the honeymooners to me. So, I mean, yeah, it looked fantastic. So, what made what made you decide to do this charity for Ray? Because you worked with so many professionals, you know.
You're not far off there, Phil. I agree.
It's a God thing, you know. Simply put, like Ray got in touch with me at the right time, and it's like I worked with Marvel and DC, and I worked with DC. That's been my last 10 years through a different company, so it wasn't me. And so I was just like, you know what, let me give indies a shot. And he got in touch with me at the right time. But on top of it, Ray's a great person. We all know that. And so it's like,
the rumor. I'm still on the fence. I'm still rolling the dice on that one, you know.
They roll.
Yeah, exactly. Ray's a shifty person, and you know, he hurts a lot of people. And I was afraid at the time, and so it just made sense.
I threatened him with my Canadian mafia connections.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to drown you in maple syrup.
You stole the maple syrup. I know it.
Hey, you know, I've seen
you
what
said
those Canadians
it's rubbing off.
War,
you said I heard it.
It had me. Oh, well, hey, you know, that's normal for me. Okay, so I come from everywhere. So
I see.
I claim Canada when I need to. So, you know, it's Ray's just a good person, you know. If you talk, I mean, it's like, you know, Ray and I just got into we always have long conversations, don't we? So
Well,
it's, and
usually our
then
intended
now,
conversation of 5 minutes is usually like 45 minutes or plus. We talk about random
oh, you
stuff.
know,
It's a
it's
lot of ebb and
longer.
flow
Yep.
of
And
conversation and topic.
it is. And, you know, it's, I mean, best put is like, the smartest people, when they connect on that level, it's, man, the conversations can keep going. I mean, if Ray and I were like stones, like dumb as hell, then it'd just be like, oh man, how you doing? And then that's it. But it always goes into something interesting. You know, even though I have no kids, I teach them how to parent. So there's all this great stuff that,
Oh, good. Somebody needs to.
yeah. So
You know,
yeah,
Dumb
I
and Dumber
apologize, everybody.
never had,
Oh, keep
you
going.
know, like a third movie. We could always go for that.
Yes. Well, Ray and I could potentially be those two people.
Or Smarter,
So,
Smarter.
you know,
Maybe you're smart and
well,
smarty.
no. God's
Okay,
laughing no matter what. So,
Dan, you got to do a YouTube channel where you give parental advice and just call it Parent Trap.
I would
exactly. You
I
know
would
what?
subscribe. Like if you make it right now, I will
And
sub
Rose
for
Amen.
your
has,
first sub.
you know,
Amen.
and
Start with like
yeah.
heavy loads of sugar at 8:30 at night are the best way to get your kids to settle down.
Oh man.
Yeah, because they'll
Yeah,
burn
I've
it
got
out and
some
crash.
great advice.
Perfect.
You know, but on top of it, it's like what all parents should know. And on a serious level, is it's like, can you imagine how many kids are not creative and are being fed it creativity from other sources? And so the great thing about something like D&D is just it spawns that, you know, creativity with no pun
Yeah, it
intended.
force it out of them.
It does, and you know what? It's so
Also, critical
necessary
thinking
because it's
skills,
like,
though.
absolutely, and it's all beyond that. You guys know it. I mean, you guys play it. I don't. I'm from an outside source. I played it once in my
Dan's
life.
going to be playing
I
with us, by
study
the way.
it.
First timer, him and his brother.
Yes.
We're going to
Hey,
take care of
listen,
them.
I'm
Nice.
gonna. I'll be wearing my metal face for that. So
I'm fine with
you know,
that.
we've got. Yes, no, I'm gonna give you a new appearance each time, Ray. You get me on these damn
So
darn
to
shows.
clarify, metal face, metal is in the music, or like metal Mario
Yes,
from Smash
metal
Brothers?
is in the music. So I'll be getting my white
Okay,
face with
just
some
clarifying.
black designs on it.
Do
No,
some crow
I'm gonna get you each
or
time, Ray. You know,
perfect.
this
It'll
is
be
my
Star
Amish
Child.
look, and so you're gonna get something next. Every time, Ray. I'm gonna get
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm
Reminds me of the
you.
D&D wild magic sorcerer, where if you cast a spell, then something random happens, like you grow a beard of feathers,
Oh,
and it disappears when you
man.
sneeze or something like that.
I have my own chart if you want to borrow it.
Nice.
Hey,
Poor
yeah.
Sean
And
Micah,
by the
like,
way,
what
why
did I
don't
get
you?
into?
And you know what? It's like, and tell them what my character is going to be. Have you come up with it yet?
We didn't have it nailed down.
Remember, I get the
what
best
was-
character. I get the best character. Remember that.
Oh, hey,
yeah,
maybe
well,
we
we're
can all
gonna be-
create
we're
it
gonna-
while we're all in the room.
So you
Ooh,
had
I mean,
you
you guys-
had a wizard, if I remember correctly, for this.
perfect.
No, you didn't have wizard
Give me 2
sorcerer. My
seconds.
apologies.
Okay.
Yes, and we had changed it to a thief because we found out that's my true
yes, you're gonna be like
personality.
a low
I'm
key
a bad person. Yes, I believe my own lies.
Now I'm
Okay,
excited.
so it's the next level. Yes.
I'm excited.
And so, you know, hey guys, we can do this. No, we can't. You know, well, that's, you know, there's going to be a lot of twists that occur. So,
I have something
I
I'm going
don't,
to share,
hey,
so I'm going to
listen.
be right back.
Yeah.
By the way,
Absolutely.
Okay.
you're going to love it.
Okay.
I'm going to
All
put
right.
on the other
Matt's gonna be
earphone.
right back.
Hey guys, my apology. I'm up in the mountains. I have the worst internet connection right now.
That's okay.
So
You're
as
coming
long
in
as this
clear.
is working.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
great.
fine.
And each time I'll have a better
Yeah, there
He
it
just
goes.
says that he
Yeah,
freezes
I read
just
it.
as we
stuff
say he's
all come
fine.
on.
Oh, you're back. But also to add to Dan's coloring on top of Evan Quiring's inks, we have Micah Myers, who has put some beautiful lettering. Phil, you've seen, I believe the first 3 pages so far of
Yeah,
what's been lettered.
I'm going to show them off in a minute. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's great. That's really good.
Yeah, we're going to show off the covers, and there's 5 covers, and I have 3 interiors that are fully
Awesome.
colored and lettered that we're going to show off. Before we
Great.
jump to Mike, I wanted to ask you, Dan, what are the stark differences between working for the big publishers and someone indie like Ray?
You know, let me put. It's like I have a bit of It's like this. Like I ran Brian's coloring studio for about 10 to 12 years. And, of course, with him, Brian Haberlin. And so I reviewed every artist that was coming through colorist wise and whatnot. And Brian he had started Avalon at the time, Avalon Comics. And so we were working with Will Sportacio and his studio and helping, them get to that next level. And so for me, I see a lot of great artists in the indie community. And I just thought to myself, I don't have the ability to hire them, but I have the ability to help them grow, ability to work with them. And so that's been my goal, is to show people that, with the right people, you guys are good enough to compete with Marvel, with DC, with Image. Anybody that Todd, picks up, you guys are actually that level. But you have to start, and some of them are, the coloring will help them to see how good they are at times. And so that's been my goal, is to kind of go from the underground and push up and let these guys know, listen, you're ready, you're where it's at. And really in a revolutionary level, I just think that I think indies should be have as much money flow as the bigger companies. And so the fans need to step up and, more selectively buy indie comics when they can. And so my goal was, in a weird light, is to, is Prometheus, to give them fire, so that people can see that, we're not dumbasses, even though we're indies. We're not a low quality of art, even though we're indies. The writing is good, the art is good. And sometimes, a pro needs to step in and just help offer that branch so that others can see what's going on.
When you describe that, Dan, it reminds me a lot of the dynamic duo that created Ninja Turtles. What you're describing there, because that was an indie when it started, and it was very unorthodox, and it just caught fire. Kind of using what you're saying there.
Yeah, absolutely. People don't understand. It's like usually the whole perspective of society is given from the top down, which is ridiculous. And really, when you're able to actually help the bottom part of the society grow, you'll see that we have as excellent of people, that just weren't given the right opportunity at the right time.
Right.
Some artists might be starting at 40 or 50. Some artists just need that person that pushes them a bit, and they can start to see it. And the greatest effect that my brother and I have had, my brother David and I have had, getting in and working with indie people, and really exclusively working with indie artists, is that every colorist has gotten better. Every artist has stepped up. The other effect, and the other major person to praise, is Todd McFarlane. Todd's doing a contest for Spawn right now, and Todd basically owns SpawnCon right now, which my friend started up in Colorado. And so the great thing is, it's like now indie artists are pushing their level, and usually it's okay. The best way of putting this, not for taking up too much time, listen, you're your best teacher, and really how you're going to learn is through doing the work. And so the more work that you do, and especially if you're getting to work with somebody like me, or, just to push you to the next level, that's what it takes, really. And everybody stepped up. If you take a look at indies 3 years ago, where they're at right now, and I do regularly, the artwork's improved dramatically, the coloring's improved dramatically. And I think within the next year, we're going to actually be level with Marvel and DC. Completely. Is
that because of technology, or why has it improved so much, do you think?
It's because of people like Todd McFarlane and me getting in and investing our time into, and my brother investing the time. They get the small competition push, and they go, you know what? Let me do this. Let me do this. And especially when other indie colorists see me working. I mean, I'm 28 to 29 years experience. And so these guys go, oh, wow, hold on, let me up my game a little bit. Let me put in a little bit more time. And it affects everybody and affects everything. So it's, you know, I'm a neo-hippie in a sense. Like, I think that, you know, that we have the excellent people. We just needed to let them know, and then they have to put in the time.
You're
And they have
basically
to.
Gandalf giving Bilbo that little nudge forward out of the hole.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
also-
true.
I do think, to GM Macleod's point, also another thing is I think people are leveling up their skill set, because now that you have virtual classes, you know, or YouTube, just to go learn something, they're picking up tips from pros that are sharing that over YouTube channels, etc. Whereas you didn't have that accessibility to the pros to learn these techniques and how to do things in the past. And, you know, true students of the game that want to really level up, they're absorbing everything they can from guys like Dan, and like I'm friends with Chris.
Dan has a great tutorial online, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a free one. You know what? It's years old, but this year I'll
It's
do
still
a new
relevant.
one. I think that there's going to be a time that comes within this year that I'd like to start teaching people, and just, you know what, half of it is the mindset. A lot of people don't think that. They think it's technique and building, and it's observation and mindset, and you have to put yourself in a great position. I'm gonna have to plug my phone in now, so you guys have to give me another 10 seconds. But real, yeah, I'm a mess. So it's but really that it's, your heart has to be in the right place, and when it is, the hand does the work. So it's half of it is teaching people, you know, that. So yeah, I'm gonna cut off my cam for 10 seconds. I'll be right back. I'm gonna find a cord and make myself usable again. Okay, so you guys talk amongst
All
each
good,
other.
man. All good.
We're gonna segue over to Micah, who's patiently been waiting. He's probably lettering like 3 books right now, but
I would like one.
so first of all, Micah Myers. If you say that really fast, you'd think he was a horror character. That's great.
Yeah.
Micah Myers.
My
But I'm
whole
able to
life.
use
My
the
parents never
Perfect.
saw Halloween, so yep, that's my entire life. Everyone always hears Michael Myers. Yeah.
But so what got you into lettering, and you know, where did you start?
I've been lettering professionally, I guess, about 10 years. Since high school, I had a bunch of different jobs and careers trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But I had to figure out something because I got married at 19 and had first kid at 20, and then I had another one at like 22. So I had to do something.
And you weren't born in like the 50s.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks, dude.
But so I did a bunch of different things. Eventually, I went to school a couple different times. The last one was for graphic design, and I was kind of messing around with that. And I got into comics kind of late in life too. I read like, you know, here and there, like kids read comics. You know, just, you know, somebody gives them a comic or they pick one up at the grocery store or something. But in like 2006, I got into reading comics weekly. And because of Patton Oswalt's movie, Comedians of Comedy, where him and Brian Posehn were like touring, and they would stop at comic shops and buy comics every week. And I was like, oh, that looks fun. So then that's got me into it. And then that coincided when I was doing the graphic design stuff. I was kind of messing around with it, and then looked a little bit into lettering. I talked to Chris Crank, who's a letterer for like Oni and a bunch of other places. He has a podcast. I wrote into him and asked about how to get started. And he gave me some advice, and, you know, on the show gave advice like he didn't. But and I just started messing around with it. There's a couple of books available at the time. I've read those and watched all the YouTube videos and just started messing around. And eventually I got what I thought was good enough to like look for work. And I got hired, and then another guy hired me, and then I didn't have to have a day job anymore. So, and I've been doing this for about 10 years. Started, you know, obviously small and working with, you know, people making their own stuff, and then got to where, you know, like little indie publishers. And you know, now I work for anybody. If they're like, I'm kind of like a mercenary kind of men's mindset. If you can pay me, I'll work for you.
Have pen, will letter.
Yeah. So I mean, I've worked for. I'll still if you printed at Kinko's or you printed at DC, I'll still letter it. It's fine by me. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
You didn't mention your 2-time nominee for the Ringo Awards.
yeah, and and
I'm
last
sorry,
year,
real quick. GM
yeah.
Macleod has to go,
Yep.
but we would
Okay.
just want to say thank you for coming on and hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And
Phil,
guys, RPG
sorry,
All
Micah.
Stars on YouTube.
If you next time we talk, I will talk about how I inherited like literally a stack of first editions from DC. Like,
Nice.
Oh, cool.
I'm talking it's
Awesome.
wall to wall. It's insane, and I haven't read any of them. I need you over here. So next time we'll talk about that. What a tease, Micah. Thanks for keep. So what did you win, by the way? And I am going to say goodbye.
Oh, I was nominated for the Ringo Award for best lettering twice.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
last year
Congrats.
and 2021.
Wow.
My goal is to get him to win it this time.
Well,
Yeah.
let's get that comic going. Very good, guys. All right. Thank you so much.
Take care, man.
Thanks again, GM Mac.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Sorry, Mike. I didn't want to be rude
Oh, no,
and
it's
have him
okay.
just
Yeah,
jump
definitely.
off. So go ahead. You were saying 2-time nominee on Ringo Awards. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I've still looking to get the Eisner, but it's kind of hard to get when Todd Klein and Stan Sakai exist. It's kind of hard to get those ones. They're the ones that always get those.
You know
But
what
yeah,
though?
so-
It's time and pressure. You just keep putting in the time and you keep applying the pressure and doing your thing, and everybody breaks through eventually. You know, if you got the goods and you know what you're doing, and obviously you do. You know.
Yeah. So
I
just work pretty much nonstop, and
I got kids to feed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Micah, have you gotten to hang out with Tom Orzechowski at all?
I've never met him or anything. No, I got. To
Okay, I just got to hang out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I got to I did an interview last year with John Workman and Janice Chang. They were also like it was like a panel of letterers, so I got to talk with them. That was kind of cool because they're also very like superstar letterers, I guess. If that's
Oh,
a thing,
yeah.
superstar letterers. But
Oh man, yeah. Tom is a beast, and rename the people because my phone kind of tripped out a bit.
John Workman and Janice Chang. Janice Chang's was lettering like, oh man, both I guess John Workman also was lettering like since the 70s. I think Janice Chang like helped create a bunch of logos for DC. I can't remember what it is now, but yeah, like Ghost Rider. She did the logo for Ghost Rider and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah,
That's pretty sweet.
yeah.
Oh yeah, we know, right? We're big fans, Mr. Ray.
Yeah.
The Ghost Rider.
I'm actually gonna pull up the lettered pages now while we're talking with Micah.
Awesome.
And
they look great, by the way.
colors.
Yeah.
Does this zoom in? Yes, it does.
Awesome.
It gets a little blurrier as you zoom in, so my apologies. But again, colors by Dan Kemp and letters by Micah Myers. And this is the Madcaps. And we're going to get into the Madcaps with Ray after, but we're going to talk to Sean next. But here's the first page.
I think the most impressive things I had from this on this page specifically as it came through with the colors, I didn't anticipate this, but it really popped to me is it's obvious all of the brick is different texture and layer like brick is. It isn't all necessarily one flatness, and it's you can see the way the light reflects differently on every single brick on the walls. And then on the lettering side, I think the part I really like about lettering is any of the narration, it's supposed to be done as if a letter is being written, and it looks like writing on a parchment. And I really like how it all just came together.
Yeah,
he's an excellent letterer. I mean, Micah, you're excellent. So,
you know what's the most impressive thing when you look at a letterer is how they're able to break up. I mean, this is a fairly low dialogue, so this isn't a good example of what I'm talking about. But when you have multiple panels and there's a lot of dialogue that maybe isn't fitting in, and you have to break the panel, but keep the flow of the reader and not break it up with the context of the panel it's coming from, that's very challenging for a letterer. And that's what to me makes or breaks.
Well, and take a look at the bottom panel. Well, sorry, it's brilliant placement. I mean, that's. It's like I study Steve Jobs, and I've studied a little bit about the guy who created the logos for Next and stuff like, and IBM and stuff like that. And really, it's the flow of the eye, and it's the perfect framing and the placement. And he's got it all. I mean, Micah's got the touch. So I mean, it's one of those things that, like, you probably, I apologize talking like third person, but my assumption is you taught yourself a lot, because it's a tough art form, and just by staring at pages and whatnot and just seeing that flow, because the lettering is the other character on each page in my book. So,
and it's knowing the fonts to use, knowing fonts to use to help depict emotion or tone, sarcasm, or like here where, the character obviously has a different way of speaking, and you're using that, that's where you get into more advanced lettering. But let me ask you, Micah, and I'm putting you on the spot. How many writers have you cursed under your breath for putting too much dialogue in a panel? And how many artists have you cursed for not leaving enough room for dialogue?
So many. Yeah, there definitely has been a lot of I don't know, like curse ceremonies that I have, voodoo dolls and all that.
Kids come in saying words they're not supposed to say. And you're like, oh, don't tell mommy you heard that from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, again, this is the Madcaps. It's coming out soon. It's a D&D style fantasy story that involves camaraderie and things like that, which Ray's going to get into more. Dan Kemp just blowing the colors out of the water, and of course, lettering by Micah Myers. For coloring, a lot of guys don't understand. They try to do these fantastic colors on everything. Colors are supposed to draw the eye to what you want them to see on the panel more than anything else. That I'm friends with Chris Sotomayor, and he taught me that a long time ago. Oh, he's
wonderful.
Yeah, and he colors tragedy, and I had tragedy was colored the first book, the first issue by someone else who's a solid colorist, not taking any away from them, but they were doing these vibrant backgrounds, and something was off. I went to Chris, he recolored it, and he explained to me that it was so bright and beautiful, my eye was wandering to everywhere but what I wanted it to look at. And he was like, coloring it's gotta be proper to the background, but you want it to set your eye exactly what the story wants you to be looking at as a reader. And a lot of people don't understand that. And then letters have to flow in an order where you're reading it subconsciously, you're moving in the flow of the story. Because if you have to think of where you have to go to next, that pulls the reader out of the story, and it breaks up the continuity and the flow of them reading the story. And so the two combined have to draw the eye exactly where you want the reader to go. There's a science to this that people don't understand.
Yeah, you're on 100% the button. I was probably one of the earliest colorists. I'll take credit for the colorist, but I mean the concept is the page has got to flow, and so it's like, so you start the page, you take them somewhere, and then you end the page, and so I don't hear that from many people. So Chris is got blessings, obviously, and Chris is a really smart. I call everybody kids, so bear with me. Chris is a smart kid, and boy, Chris has been working in the industry for quite some time. I mean,
over
at least
30 years.
Maybe 25. Has he been? So he's been doing it longer than I have.
Early 90s, just about 30 years, yeah.
Yeah, and so, with Spawn, I really got free reign at one point, and you have to understand, like, Greg's maybe like the best comic book color or artist, pardon me. And in terms of, I got to work with Danny Mickey, I got to work with Greg Capullo, I got to work with Todd McFarlane, I got to work with Chance Wolf, and Kevin Conrad and Jonathan Glapian. There's the level of excellence is so high, And so when I was working on it, I was going, my God, I have to really jump up what I do to actually match what these guys are doing. And you know, and at one point, I had such free reign on Spawn that there was learning from Greg. I learned how to start the page and end the page. I learned how to create this uh, um, a complete flow, which is what letterers do, and letterers know about that. They know from the top to the bottom how the eye's going to move around the page with perfect framing, and you know, and what to put letters over, what not to put letters over. Not that I'm a letterer, I just study everything. So,
Right.
Micah, you take over.
Oh yeah, he's right. Helping the flow of the page is definitely an important part. One of the first things you should probably learn if you're going to be, I guess, anything in comics really, but in lettering, figuring out, you know, like I said, the flow of the page, where to put things, what to cover up, you know, not to, you know, trying to think how to put it. Just, you know, mess with I guess the flow of the page. I mean, it's the best way of saying it. To aid the story. That's when you notice, like you said before, like people that don't realize how important lettering is, they realize it when it's bad, when
Right.
you know, stuff is put in the wrong place, and it makes it where you can't read the story, you can't follow the story, and that's when you notice lettering. When it's just, you know, when it becomes, it's like you're trying to, I'm trying to think how to, like, you're kind of fade into the background almost. Like you it's important, what you're putting there is obviously very important because it's the story, it's the dialogue, the captions, but you want it to seem like it's just part of this, like you were never there, like it was just all one cohesive thing. I mean, I guess that's probably
and
any
it's
working as a team, you want to
yeah.
kind of want to create one cohesive thing at the end. But yeah, like
Yeah,
you
and,
just
and
want
to add on,
to
mhm. Well, you're representing the artwork to everybody. So it's how that lettering goes. It's almost like, here's the artwork. We're presenting this as, you know, the spotlight or the star of the show, and here's the lettering, which has got its own space and its own, you know, beauty. But on top of that, you know, the writers, and especially God, I've got to work with some really great writers, and I'll remember names later. But I got to work with never mind, the best when I worked on Green Lantern. Gosh, I've worked with so many people. Names are popping through, but the writer is so dependent upon how the letterer is presenting himself, because it's those are, to me, that's the team, the perfect team, and then it's the inker and the penciler that's the perfect team, and then you get the colorist. It's kind of the extra person who pulls it all together, and not the lettering and the writing, but more make sure that that you know, the adds the 3 dimension, adds the oh, I got it, Grant Morrison, right? We all know him, and I got to work with them and Liam Sharp on Green Lantern with Steve Olaf and my brother. Amazing team, and boy, Grant is a writer. I mean, and so he's dependent and super dependent upon how that letter is going to present himself, or present his work, should I say. And so it's, yeah, for me, it's definitely, comics is a 5-man team. You can split it up into having people take multiple hats, but still it works. If you're going to be doing a monthly book, it's a 5-man art team, and each is equally important. And I really wish, you know, Marvel and DC would see the importance, especially of the letterer and the colorist. They've been able to see the importance of the inker probably since 2007. The inker has made more of a mark, and but the colorist, you know, it's a crazy thing where people think, okay, you know, I'll do a book, I'm gonna get the best penciler on it, I'll get a good inker, and then don't worry about the letters, don't worry about the coloring. But then it becomes a joke almost. And so all of us we take on an equal task, and a 5-man team to create a monthly book for people when comics is being done at the highest art form. And even the editor, when the editor is working, the editor's knowing not to screw up the writing, but to add to it. The editors knowing to do that with each element. So the best editors are well studied in each of the crafts, in my opinion. And I'm not looking to insult people when I say this. It's my opinion of how comics works at the highest level. And
Damn you,
some of the
Dan.
best, actually the best. Yeah, I'm a bad person. I know this. Okay, so but yeah, comics, in my opinion, it's not going to change anytime soon. The art form is 5 people, and you know, not to discount the editor, but it's like this is a 5-man art team that is going to work with the company and do it monthly, hopefully. Sometimes people like, you know, don't do that, but the thing is, that's how it works, and that's how it works at the best level. And Todd McFarlane was always aware of this, and he always gave people the proper space to grow. He always gave them the proper suggestions, and he always yeah, he picked the best teammates to work together. He kept a really fun atmosphere and just let us do our thing. So Spawn is an example of the highest level of comic book where literally the artists aren't being edited for the most part, you know, and he'll
Hey,
talk to them
Dan,
afterwards.
I think
Oh,
I
maybe you
think the
could do
best.
this, but that's it. Hmm?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think the best collaboration on a single image that I've seen with you off the top of my head, it's with pencils by Todd, inks by Chance Wolf, then you coloring, and the image, it's for one of the covers. I forget the issue of Spawn, but it's when Spawn is heavily wounded and he's being carried out by the 2 detectives. They're about,
Oh
I don't
God,
know,
that's a great
shin high in
Capullo.
water. You know
Okay.
that one?
I know exactly it. It's got a green background to it
Yes.
that I was doing this like painting thing, and Brian's like, "Hey man," he said, "Why don't you just use that for the background?" Which Brian's genius, you know, like absolutely. Brian Haberlin's one of the most intelligent artists in comic books, bar none. He knows everything about everything. He you know, he always pushes and pulls
Losing
it
you,
in the
brother.
right direction. He finishes pieces on a level that nobody has a clue about. And so what that cover is from start to finish, it's Greg drawing it. It's probably Todd and Chance inking it together. Okay. Now what
Okay.
Todd liked to build inkers, okay? And so when he would work with certain inkers, like say he might do a large portion of the cover, or he might finish it, or he might have Chance start it. There's a lot of things that can occur with that. So Greg Capullo did the pencils. Todd McFarlane and Chance Wolf probably inked it. Brian had the suggestion that I use this great background. I rendered it up, and then Brian said, "Hey man, let's toss some." Is Ray gone, by the way?
I'm
Or
here.
is he still
Can you hear me? I'm here.
Okay, we hear you. You're in the ghost
Yep.
format right
Okay,
now.
I'm just sending some stuff to Phil so he can show it off for us. I am listening.
very
I'm
cool.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, then we're
Okay,
gonna
and
get to
so
Sean. He's been
then
waiting patiently.
Sean, all apologies. I talk too much. And so
No, it's fine.
so then
Oh,
Brian.
dude, I could listen to you talk all day, dude. It's fine.
Okay, excellent.
He's watching
I have
porn right now
only
anyway.
good stories to tell. It's best.
Hopefully it's good.
Okay, so so basically, and then it was Brian who said, "Hey man, I want to add some fog to this piece, kind of give it that next dimension." So Brian's a great visionary left and right, and Brian's a great artist left and right. And so once again, it is, you know, I got to work with Steve Dillon, who I consider one of the best. I got to work with John Romita Jr. and Scott Hanna, who I consider some of the best.
God, Ramit is one of my
And you
favorites.
know, and it's just,
That's awesome.
oh, isn't he awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it was like so, but Spawn is almost, I don't know that anybody's had that experience. Spawn had some of the best artists I've ever met just coming in and out. And I would go and hang out with Danny Mickey regularly at his house. And the level of artists that Brian and Danny Mickey are just, you know, Todd
Mm-hmm.
McFarlane's. I mean, these are guys that they're legendary. These are timeless artists. And so to be in that group of people and to have that much freedom, there's, you know, nobody's gotten to experience that. That's right. I'm always supportive if people want to go work with Todd McFarlane, because they'll grow leaps and bounds. It's such a goal for people. And he's absolutely, he's one of the best people in comics, bar none. He's one of the nicest people. How he builds artists is on a level I've never seen. He works with the top talent. You'll be surrounded by the top talent. You know, if you have a goal in comic books and you want to work for Marvel, look at Todd first. Todd's the best, bar none. He runs the best company. He runs the best show. So, you know,
I'm not
and
gonna lie.
that was
When I was
my
in high
work.
school, I was one of those people that bought like 5 or 6 copies of Spawn #1 because
Oh,
we
wow.
thought those things you could retire on those things. They were going to be so huge and like one to read and the rest to never open.
Yeah, yeah, and now they're worth money.
Yep.
You know, when we were working on Spawn, the industry was selling 15,000, 10,000 copies of comics, and we were just like, wow, you know, if this is just horrible. I mean, it went from 1 million copies to, you know, maybe 100,000, 500,000 copies for regular books to 15,000, 7,000, 5,000, and those were Marvel's regular sales. So that time period, I honestly had no clue that Spawn would be a collectible, and now seeing that it is, I'm like, okay, that's crazy. It's absolutely nuts, because when we were working on it, we knew that nobody wanted it. There's no way that this is going to be collectible, and but that didn't stop our energy. The energy was at 100%, and so when people collect any of those Spawn books, from what I know, I got to work up to 150 on it, and I'm good friends with the original colorist, Steve Olaf, and so for me, Spawn is 1 through 150, and it's the best art. It's the best teams in comic books, and they're the best people. They're the kindest people, and no egos were involved in those. So so the passion was at the highest level. So I get it. I get why it's a collector's item now. You know, it deserves it. You know, and Todd's Todd's the #1 guy in comic books. Like he is right, maybe behind Steve. You know, the effect that he's had is unbelievable. Almost 3 times over. You know, so yeah, I can't say enough. And about that team, and so that, you know, talking about that, that's what I'm trying to bring to other people. I'm trying to bring that to Ray's book. I'm trying to bring that to his team. I'm putting in so much extra work for Ray. Ray doesn't even know, because it's
I
just
do appreciate it, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, I put in about 3 times more work in these pages, because it's not. Listen, when it comes to money and art, separate the two. Get paid, deal with your bills. But when you're doing the artwork, doesn't matter what you've been paid, you put everything into it. You know, and that's, it's an ethic that everybody needs in life, I think.
Yeah,
and
not everybody has.
by me doing it, yeah, you know what? We're on this earth together to be excellent to each other, and to give the highest level of what we can give to each other. So that's why I always remind people, separate money from art, even if that's your main income. You know, make sure that it's always 120% with the artwork, even if you're getting paid nothing for it, because that affects every person. It affects every fan and every artist growing. So, but let's talk about something else. I could talk too long. This is why Ray and I talk, you know, forever. So,
Well, with that segue, we're going to go to what is going to be a future collectible, and an an artist that you have to take a look at what he's doing. We're going to show the progress shots of Sean's cover that's coming up for Madcaps.
Cool.
Yeah, and we're going to show it from, rough conception to where he's inking and drawing. So it's going to be cool. We're going to show the shots now. Sean told us a little about himself at the beginning, but he's been patiently hanging out, and I appreciate you. If you want to walk us through kind of your thoughts on the concept of the cover, working with Ray, how terrible that can be, and, your ideas that I don't know if Ray gave you an outline of what he wanted to cover, or he gave you free autonomy to come up with a concept, but we're going to show it here.
Sean, can I give one quick mini story before you begin? Because I think it's great for the segue. When we first started talking and I described what I rough idea of what I was looking for, I was figuring something like all 4 of the main characters and then zombies closing in on all different angles and the 4 main characters engaging. At that point, Sean said to me, "Stop right there. You had me at zombies."
Yep. Well, from talking to Sean, he's big horror, which is cool, and it works perfectly for what you want on this cover. So, and as the writer creator, that's part of the element people don't understand. Part of the success of a comic is when the writer and the creator of the book have a good understanding of what artists, what team fits what they're trying to accomplish, what the genre is, what the story is. And you have to be selective. And some artists, they take offense if you don't hire them. It's not we're saying you're not quality art. You're just not the style that fits what we're trying to portray.
Right. It's got to be the right fit for it.
Right.
It's interesting you say that, Phil. That's exactly when I saw the different cryptid images we were talking about earlier with Sean. Because it was a lot of undead action, it just made sense to reach out.
Right. Well, you had me at zombies, and also I want to point out I know my pencils look like absolute shit, but I have always I am aware of that, but there's a reason. I hardly ever fill out my pencils because I'm always the one that inks my own stuff.
Right.
I never have.
You know where it's going. I get that.
I know where it's going. I already have the image in my head of where it's going, so all I need for myself is
you're gonna render with inks, yeah.
Yeah, and you'll see I start adding inks in some of the next shots where the pencils were so loose, but in my head I can already see what's going to go there.
I find it very interesting how you're very fluid with going back and forth between pencil and ink on different areas of the image. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've seen anybody that diverse of jumping back and forth between those 2 stages, which obviously seems to work very well for you.
Yeah.
It's a jumble. It's a jumble on paper, but in my brain, it's not jumble. The puzzles,
right?
The Rubik's cube is solved in my brain,
right?
If that makes any sense. The puzzles only together.
Put the stickers and repeal the stickers and put them back on, right? Or
whatever I got to do.
Sledgehammer.
Dan, I got to stop and say it's an absolute honor to have you coloring my stuff. I am very much looking forward to this. It's been a very long time since I've had anybody color my stuff at all, because usually it's me with markers. But I had somebody, a guy named Micah Faulkner, do some covers on any title I did years ago. This is the first time in a very long time I've had anybody do any colors, and also being you is an extra. Bonus doesn't really sell that to me, so it's just imagine that with bigger, more grandiose words. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Awesome. And let me make a side note. Ray sends me everybody's art that he's thinking about using. So
that's true.
Yeah, and literally, like, we go back and forth, and I think I'm a big fan of Sean's as this is coming together, because so keep going. I got to see this, because I've seen images left and right. And listen, if Ray's working with anybody, we've had conversations, and I'm a critical artist, so I'm probably a big fan of your work. So I mean, I want to see where it keeps going, because I haven't
you.
seen these penciled images just yet.
Since I
Absolutely,
knew
you
Dan was
deserve
coloring it,
very
I
good.
definitely ran some samples of different pieces of Sean's work saying, what do you think of this potential? And he gave me a thumbs up on it. And that's when I reached out to Sean, because I already knew Dan was coloring it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure it was a good fit. And
That
lo
is
and behold,
extremely
we're almost
cool.
there.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yep, I hope to have this wrapped up pretty soon. Here's a fun fact about when I draw zombies. The faces never really get that much detail on them at all, because I've drawn zombies so much now in different stages of decomposition that I'll basically just do the outline of the face and then just take the pen and start just adding on, whatever the face feels like it should be for that particular one, whether it's
More stretched or more hamburger meat, or
Right.
kind of both.
Right, exactly. More Wade Wilson or more Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's and that one was hard to get the
Oh,
texture right with inks on the face for some reason, but it worked.
Oh, it's a tough. You know what? A guy with that darkest skin, like Nightcrawler, you're like, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
always tough, because it's like, where do you pick the precise lighting, and how much should the colorist handle of it? And it's just, I just tell. I mean, in my opinion, just go for. I love how Nightcrawler is done. So I mean, it's classical format for my book. So I apologize, Ray. This isn't
All good.
me.
Well, I'll give you a bit of background
characters.
information on that character. He's actually a blue-skinned elf. You know what? The reason he has blue skin, it's actually a real phenomenon that humans can have. Basically, Chazgo, this elf, he lives in a mountain range. His whole race of elves, the mountain range is riddled with silver deposits. And in real life, humans, if they consume and have enough exposure to silver, their skin actually turns blue.
Oh,
So-
that Papa Smurf guy in the news a while back?
Yeah,
That's right.
That's what it is.
That's exactly right. And they're
They
called Argers.
told him many. Yeah. Yes.
And these Argers, because they have so much silver in their system, they actually have some decent resistance to magic. So in this cover image, this was digitally drawn by Erica Hollis. She's in Chicago. In this image, it shows him turning on a human persona as he's entering a lit room, because many Argers have a very bad reputation. They're very primitive. I just have a cart coming by. I'm in a hotel right now.
Now, what do you mean by primitive? Can you explain that a bit more? Are you saying that they're a bit callous in terms of sympathy?
Yes, they're very, I guess, a more modern term. They're very xenophobic. So that group of elves lives out in the mountains, and they pretty much worship that mountain. They look at magic like an abomination, and they feel that their devotion and faith towards the mountain is why they're so resistant to magic, when really it's just they're riddled with silver. Childs goes a little exception to the rule, where he wanted to be he just disagreed with the dysfunctionality of his families.
Now, this is how in depth the story is, by the way, everyone. So Ray's nuts, okay, and that's great, because these are the type of writers that we need in comics that are putting in that much depth, and because we're only ever going to see the surface level when we see the comic book. So yeah, it's just awesome, Ray. So keep going.
He actually has magic abilities.
What's that? Zoom in.
Oh, there. What's his character's name? Can you give each character?
Chazgo Blundale. If you look on his necklace, there's what looks like a rook chess piece
face right there. And so what? Yeah, keep going, right?
Are you able to zoom in anymore, Phil? Oh, there you go. So I really like how she had Erica's we kind of collaborated the idea that we're going to make it look like the lit room was altering his appearance, even though that's not, like, he does it at will. Unlike other Argers, he actually has magic abilities, and that little necklace there is actually his implement. It allows him to actually use magical abilities. A cool piece of information.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. Yeah, I was just curious. So basically, his body naturally inhibits magic, and that allows the inhibitors to be shut off. That was my question?
Well, he has another being that actually gives him magic abilities. So the being is so
Okay.
powerful, it actually doesn't have the resistances in his body don't have any influence. It's the equivalent of when Peter Parker got the symbiote. The symbiote found a way to bypass the spider sense.
Oh.
This fuel source from this other being has found a way to bypass his resistances to her magic. So he kind of has a little bit of both, the best of both worlds, really. He's resistant, has some type of resistances to magic, but at the same time, he can cast spells. This is a problem. He can't live in the mountains because family members would consider him an issue. They'd probably kill him on sight if they ever saw him use magic.
And let's move to the next cover. We got this character, my favorite, actually.
That's done in Eni. He's what he calls himself a half dwarf. His dad's a dwarf, his mom's a gnome. Unlike his mother, who has innate magical influence on nature, he appears to have mild arcane influence on metals and crystalline structures. So you can see he's got a glowing smithing hammer in his hand there. It's a light source. But over top of his shoulder, there is, he made a contraption from a broken telescope, and using his goggles to track it, it can actually aim and blast raw magic out of it, kind of like a concussive force, if you will. And if you look in the foreground, if you zoom out a bit, you can see what he just tested out his telescope on. You can see what's left of a tree. And the expression on his face is the equivalent of shooting a potato cannon for the first time. You're surprised you didn't die, and it actually worked. This fella here, his name is Madcaps.
You got to give him the background on this.
Okay, so this is Madcaps Garthual. You know what? Can we go back one page? I forgot to talk about the artist that painted down or one more. My apologies. This is Jenna Stark from New York. She wasn't able to make it. She was going to be on the stream here. That's all done digital, painterly. She did all the line work. She actually has some cool contracts with making coloring books, which is really cool. I saw she had a beautiful rendition of Gandalf the Grey, and I reached out to her to see if she could make one of my characters in that style, and this is the product here. The logo of the Madcaps, that was made by Tim Gronert. But anyways, moving on to Madcaps. This fella here is 6'5". He's a creature known as a whir. These things are descendants of some being known as the Great Storm Worm. Worm spelled W-Y-R-M. It's essentially a giant kaiju-like electric eel. This fella is very hearty, very intelligent. The only thing more impressive than his brawn is his brain. He has a hobby rather in the arcane, and he dabbles a little bit in spells. His armor and his sword are more ceremonial than anything else. He tries to hide behind his big persona to keep problems away, and ironically, this does the opposite and usually invites problems on him, rather. Pardon me, I hiccuped there. This was painted by John Zalesnik by hand. This is old school, traditional. If anybody's ever played Shinobi for the NES, he painted that cover art. Warhammer 4000 Chaos Gate, the first one from 1998, he painted that cover. I've played all these games, that's why I'm listing these off specifically. Worms 2 from the late 90s, which I'm a big fan. Me and another friend, we played the snot out of that game. He's done things for Magic the Gathering. I've already mentioned Warhammer. He's made a good living making beautiful pieces of work like the one you see right there before us. I was very, very lucky, just like a hold of Dan Kemp and pretty much all the people here. I'm very lucky. If you zoom in really closely on this character's eyes, you can see it's got a little bit of lightning action happening. In his gizzard, he's able to store up lightning and vomit it out. Essentially, he can have limited reserves of it.
Very nice.
Which I was very happy to hear because I hadn't had the chance to draw zombies being electrocuted before.
Yes, yeah. So in Sean's picture, Madrakis is definitely vomiting a bunch of lightning on a bunch of zombies. This image here, Dan Kemp was mentioning here, Ghost Rider. This is drawn by Javier Salteras. He was the spearhead of Ghost Rider Volume 2, where Dan Ketch took on the mantle of the Ghost Rider. He helped design the clothing of that style of Ghost Rider. And the first one is pretty cool from the 70s, Johnny Blaze. But 1990s Ghost Rider had such an iconic image that when Johnny Blaze was portrayed on the big screen by Nicolas Cage, they used my apologies, they used Harvey Saltera's design on Dan Ketch instead of the Johnny Blaze. So when you see Ghost Rider, those two Ghost Rider movies, Harvey Salteras, the person who drew this image that you're looking at here, that's his, he has a lot of influence on that design. And it's really cool. When I described to him this dwarf Sarlacc swamp treasure, and side note, surprise, surprise, you could tell by the quality of coloring, this is also Dan Kemp's coloring. Another cool side note, Dan Kemp, who's colored Spawn for years, combined with a guy who's colored or drawn the iconic Ghost Rider for a long time. I thought it was cool to have artists of two different Hellspawns combine their resources and show this really cool picture.
Yeah, I mean, but both, and also mention Ray and I are big collectors of the Dan Ketch Ghost Rider. So like getting this is just like, okay, man, we know who this is. He did Ghost Rider #1 cover. And so we were just like, Javier is I honestly don't know how much of Ghost Rider he did because I wasn't taking as much note of artists at the time other than cover artists. And, but this affected everything for me. And, you know, as I said, Ray and I are collectors. So it was kind of a hilarious back and forth. Like, are you kidding me? You got Javier? And he's like, yeah.
I got him.
And I'm like, okay,
a lot of these I don't know how I got from Dan to Harv here to everybody on here. I just right place at the right time. This character here, Sarlacc, Swamp Treasure, he is a hill dwarf. He doesn't come from the mountains. His clan, the Swamp Treasures, they left the mountains to try the farmer life instead of digging for jewels and alloys. And being how dwarves are pretty stubborn, they decided to drain out a swamp and farm in there. So they've been continuously expanding their farmland in the middle of a swamp and thinning out the swamp. Because of that, in their culture is tracking down and pacifying things that go bump in the night. Eventually, he felt a calling to travel to Ivywood, where this comic is going to take place, and he set up a church. He's very devout to a being known as the Divine. Through this, he does have some abilities besieged onto him. That axe he holds there is a holy weapon, which allows him to amplify some of the things he can do. One of the things you see early on in the comic, he's able to make a ward to repel some things from getting at him for short amounts of time. When I described what I was looking for a cover from Harv, I gave this idea of him mid-swing, swinging this axe, knocking back a couple of fiendish creatures and maybe a couple behind him with this ward I mentioned. He sent me the thumbnail to what you're seeing right now, which was not what I asked for, and immediately my instincts were shut up and take my money. I said, just go with it. I love it. Much better.
Sometimes
awesome.
That's the best. Yeah, artists come up, let them be creative and they'll give you what, even better sometimes.
Pardon me.
Yeah, and I'd seen the sketch and I was just like, oh. And then with the inks, it was like, okay, this is, there's artists, man, like Simon Beasley, like, I don't know, there's some artists that are just like, you just go, are you kidding me? And that's where I put Javier. I mean, I got to recently talk to Angel Medina at SpawnCon, and Angel's just one of those artists. I got to work with him for quite some time, and he's next level. You know, no bad words, but he is out of control, and that's where Javier is. So I mean, yeah, it's just an awesome process, and we've been blessed left and right. And Ray's insane, you guys can tell. So he's going to have 40 books come out with 15 different artists with this universe that he's creating. So, I mean, you could see it, you know. So it's thought out well enough, you know.
It's very kind. I
And it's
appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely. You're a genius and you're insane. So it's a great combination, Ray. Oh,
This one was done by Jimbo, and of course Dan colored it. And beautiful
fan.
piece,
Yeah.
beautiful piece. I heard a couple people when this was the first image I released over anything that I made public,
Yes.
and I did this in late September. And a couple of times from a couple of different individuals, they commented saying it was so amazing, much like any of the other things that Dan's colored. They'd say, it's so cool you got these two souls to cross paths. So Jimbo is a very well-respected inker, and he just got a contract job with Netflix, which is really
Jimbo
cool.
artist. Oh, he's a penciler and inker. He inks his own
Yes.
stuff. Like he's phenomenal. He did a cover for me, and I had Alex Sinclair color it, and it just looks unbelievable. I mean,
Oh
when you
God, yeah.
when you can take a colorist of Dan's level and on Jimbo's detailed lines, it's a guaranteed win.
Yeah, and a small note about this cover, you know, I had the first person who ever reviewed my portfolio was Will Spertasio, and he said to me,
Great
he
guy.
said, "Watch out." Excuse me. Sorry.
He's a great guy. He's a nice guy.
Oh, isn't he? Yeah, and I got to work with him for many years after that. Will Spertasio is one of the greatest people in comic books, bar none. He just is, from head to toe. Genius artist. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about him and his entire studio. He's an absolute gem. And when I saw this piece, I said, I'm going to put every color in this piece. You know, it was almost to spite everybody, but I'm not going to make it that concept of fruity. I'm actually going to, you know, I'm going to put every value in it. I took so long on this piece, and it was just I did, you know, and it's its own thing. You have to run with the energy to a certain extent. You have to let things go. You have to let, you know, it's a crazy piece. I mean, there's so many weird areas on it, but that was my goal, was to actually, for people that hadn't seen comic books before, I wanted to give them something so impressive that they'd purchase it.
One of
So
my favorite lines you said, Dan, between this cover and the Harvier cover,
yeah.
when you looked at him, you said both times, you said, it's going to hurt how good this is going to look.
Oh, really? I don't speak like that, Ray.
Not at all. Sorry, I made that one up. My bad.
I'm
And that's the thing is
I'm more evil. I said I'm going to hurt people when I color these covers. So it must be some twist on this.
And it's not easy
But
to color
yes,
this because you have the light source from the axe, you have the light source from his hand, you have the light source from his
yeah,
lightning eyes, you've got an external light source from behind him with the stars, from below. There's a lot of light sources going on from
Yes.
different directions on this cover, so it's a nightmare for a colorist unless they really know
well,
what
you
they're
know,
doing.
and always people might just compliment me, but I think I'm spiritual in the sense that I think if you put yourself in the right state of mind, that there's entities or God or whatever that's working with you. And so there's a lot of unconscious successes that occur when you're in the right state of mind. And so, and it's always tough for me to take complete credit because I know there's something else out there that is connecting the dots where I'm not. And sometimes when I'm in an automatic mode, it takes care of all that stuff. And so, you know, like you say, with the light sources, I don't think I planned it out. I just kind of went in and did it, and it ended up like that. And that's the best way of putting it. So that's why I say mindset is half of art. It's just being in the right mindset, letting something else guide you a little bit and making it happen. And that's kind of, and both these pieces, for me, both of these pieces came out magical. And so, and it's just, I don't know what it is with Ray's book, because Ray's gotten probably the best looking work out of me recently. So Ray must have a really good aura. The universe is really blessing him with this book. And so it's been easy for me to promote it with people, and talk about it, because it's something magical is occurring,
I'll give you a good parallel, kind of what you're talking about there. I always mess her name up. Elaine from Seinfeld, Julia.
Louise
Dreyfus.
So when she got the Mark Twain Award for comedy, and Jerry Seinfeld was to give a speech at that award ceremony, he talked about how, regardless of what anybody feels about whether he's funny or not, he doesn't consider himself funny, and he felt the reason he was so successful with his TV show is because he surrounded himself with funny people. And I can agree with that personally. When I watch Seinfeld, I don't watch to see Jerry, George, Kramer, and Elaine every time. Jerry sometimes is funny. His stand-up, I'll chuckle at for sure. But when it comes to,
but look at the team together though. Also,
but that's what I'm getting at in this. Regardless of my caliber, I've tried really hard to surround myself with good talent, because I want it to be a good project, regardless of whether I'm the best or not, kind of thing.
Real quick, so just to let you know, Sean's got to get going. Sean, thanks for being here and hanging out and being patient. Where can people find you? Are you available for commissions? Are you ready? Are you there for hire? Tell us where to find you, what you got going on, and if you're available for work.
I never say no to work. I never really don't.
So Sean's a whore.
Yep, pretty much. pretty much.
We all are here.
Yeah, but I mean, like I go to conventions. They ask me how I did. I'm like, I made a whore's wage, so it's not bad. So,
where do we find you?
Usually on my logo, SeanLangley.com. I set up a real basic, shitty-looking website just to have kind of like a hub for all my other links. But if you go there, it'll take you to like all my other social medias and my email and all that fun stuff.
When you leave, go ahead and in the chat drop your website link. Okay, you're all welcome to drop your links in the chat when we're done with the show. We get a lot of after views, so please feel free to do that. And if you're looking, if you're available for commissions, feel free to to plug and do whatever you got to do. And everybody will get a shot before we go. Sean, thanks for coming out. The cover is coming along really nice. We're excited to see that and be a part and watch you be a part of this. And we really appreciate you coming out, man. Much success.
Everything's looking great, Sean. Thank you, and thank you in advance as well.
I'm still connecting through Google right now, so I can leave a comment in the chat real quick.
Yeah.
Right on.
Awesome. Yeah, and Sean, get in touch with me, okay? Well, when we start the cover, okay.
Absolutely. How would I go about that, sir?
Okay, so I'll tell everybody right now. You can find me on Facebook. That's the best way to get in touch with me. And don't worry.
Just look out the window. He's on the tree with the binoculars.
Wait, what?
I said, just look out your window. Sean's on the tree with the binoculars.
That's usually me.
He came in like a Cylon with that for me, so it's wonderful.
Sean, you're supposed to say, "Don't even lie." You saw in the bush next to me, kind of thing.
Nope.
Yeah.
A bunch of
Sean
spies.
Do we need to know something here? So yeah, get in touch with me on Facebook.
Binoculars, so that's
Hey, anybody can find me on Facebook, and I do respond 99% of the time to everybody. So, if you just want to message me, share your artwork with me, get in touch with me.
His profile picture is a colored Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you're looking up Dan Kemp, that image will come up with it.
Yeah, and
I'll
you'll
definitely send
find
you
me.
requests and everything, and get in touch with you.
Awesome.
I've really enjoyed this, and I've really enjoyed just listening to you just drop wisdom bomb after wisdom bomb. This is like school for me. I'm loving it.
That's a, if you're talking about my wisdom bombs, yes, I agree. My ego's an all-time high. So get in touch with me. We'll chat, and we'll have more fun. Yeah, so you're a great artist. So yeah, we should just keep working more together, and definitely we'll collab on what you want to see out of the cover. So
thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I'll be hopefully I'll be crisscrossing with the Spawn universe again soon, because I actually downloaded those pages
yes,
for the newsletter thingy and try to do one of those covers. I'm not going to be able to try to do all four,
good.
but I'm going to try to put everything I've got into one.
Beautiful. Good luck,
And
man.
I'm
That's
going
great.
to go with the Violator, like the characters, and just do the Violator and his.
Oh yes, and hopefully Todd shares a lot of the contestants that deserve to be shared. I hope it's a lot bigger than just a winner. That I mean, and not to guide Todd on that, but it's so important. There's so many good artists doing so much good work on that contest. So, Sean, you take care.
All right, you too. See you later. Thanks for having me.
Take care,
man.
Sean.
Absolutely.
And then there were 4.
Yeah, we're gonna be wrapping.
Oh
this up.
no, this 8.
What's
Okay.
that?
I was gonna say we're a D&D team, the 4 of us right here.
We're a campaign party?
It's yeah. I mean, you have to take the DM
I'm the
rate
hot chick.
off for 10 seconds.
You're the hot chick. you need a mask and a blade and a sword
Yeah, I'm
and
an
a
evil
blade
elf.
with a blade on it.
Mike has got the beard, so he's the dwarf. He's probably taller.
Yeah,
than
oh,
the dwarf,
Lord,
but he's
you're
got the
right.
beard.
You know what, Micah?
Oh,
I'll give you a cool fact.
yeah.
The dwarf in my book, Sarlacc, he's based off of somebody I know. And you are not identical to
definitely,
him, but
Micah,
out of my
you're
peripherals,
the dwarf.
I think of my buddy right away when I see you.
Yeah, just short.
Well, Ray's
bearded
probably
guy.
the elven, but Ray would be like on the bad guys team working with us. You know what I mean? Like a kind of two-faced type of
The backstabber.
person. And then
The big reveal at the end.
He's a shape changer.
So,
As I'm walking away from your
yes,
bloody
evil
corpses, I'm
Ray.
saying your tears are delicious and singing a happy song.
He's the evil doppelganger. We're gonna wrap this up, but before
great.
we do, we have an announcement to make about this book. You want to, Ray, or you want me to?
Well, maybe I'll say a bit and then you can extrapolate, because I think you'll be able to give finer details. But I have landed a publisher with Filbo Publishing, and he's going to be distributing this book, and I am very excited. Distribution is not, that's uncharted territory for me. And I am more than happy to share one more person on this adventure. It seems like the more people I have involved in this adventure, the better it is for me. And this is one more positive addition. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes.
So Filbo Publishing is my company. It's a small publisher. Some of you may not have heard of it, but I've published Will Spertasio, Chris Piccialo, David Mack, Bill Sienkiewicz, a lot of big names in the industry. We try to put out comics that make you really want to read again, and we're selective in what we publish. Now you may say, well, who are you? All right, we are up and coming. Distribution is coming this year. Tragedy will be going to distribution. We are going to start by crowdfunding Madcaps. But distribution will be on the table possibly for certain titles that Filbo publishes going forward in the future. As you all know, distribution is a big risk for publishers. So, we have to do this the smart way, the right way, and the patient way. But Ray approached me with Madcaps. I had been looking for a fantasy title, to be honest with you, because I am a big, big fan of fantasy. And I liked it. it's D&D fantasy friendly, and you're going to get that feel from it. But Ray wrote a story that is not cookie cutter, cliche, typical Dungeons and Dragons type fantasy, and that was appealing to me. Despite us being a small indie publisher, we get a lot of submissions every week from people, and we're grateful for that. And unfortunately, there are more rejections than there are acceptances, and it's only because we have to weigh the pros and cons and risks, etc. It's not to knock anyone's product, but Ray it was really well written. I loved Ray's enthusiasm, his professionalism, his desire to put out a quality book. And yes, it does say something when you see the creative team. Ray is willing to put in the due diligence to make a professional book, and that's important because as a small indie publisher, or as just indie in general, touching on what Dan said earlier, if we're going to be taken seriously, we have to be taking it seriously ourselves. And that means we have to put out quality books with quality art, quality letterers, quality colorists, quality writing. It's got to be a book that can stand on that shelf along with any other book and hold its own. And I say Madcaps can, and I say it will. So when this launches on Kickstarter, I really want to see you guys come out and support, because if you are tired of the same regurgitated crap, if you are tired of stories that don't resonate with you, characters that don't interest you, or subpar creative teams, which you're seeing lately for $5 books, then you have to support books like Madcaps and publishers like Filbo, because we are fans that want you to be proud of what we put out on that shelf and to come back and love it and invest in these books. It's not a gimmick. It's not a trick. We're not just peddling collectibles. We're telling stories. And Madcaps is a story you're going to want to read. So we're very proud and happy to be working with Ray, Attunement Inc., and we're excited for the future with Madcaps. We're excited to be able to say that we're publishing Dan and Micah and many other names. And just listen. This is my first time meeting Dan and Micah, and they're fans of the medium. They care. They're passionate, and that's what comics needs. It needs people, not corporate shareholders or people that are pushing agendas or that they're beholden to what producers or whoever are saying they have to do. Here, we reign. Here, our passion pours through the pages. Here, we have the say. And we say we want good stories again. We want characters that we can resonate and cheer for. And that's what we got going on at Filbo. And Madcaps is a great addition to that. So we thank you guys for coming out and hanging with us. Thanks to Dan and Micah and Sean and GM Macleod for coming out and hanging out and talking. And we look forward to seeing all of your work and where we go from there. And do not sleep on Filbo. You may not know us now, but we will make you know us. And that's just a fact. All right? That's the way it's going to be, and ain't nothing you can do about it.
May I add one more thing, Phil?
Yes.
If anybody is wanting to know more about the Madcaps, I do have a Facebook group page. As I said earlier, there will be a one-shot D&D prequel to the comic book to give you a flavor of what this is about. But if you like fantasy, if you like camaraderie, and I'm sure you're either a really good friend to somebody or you have a really good friend, and this book is about a circle of four that have a little bit of that flavor in. Anybody that has had a circle of friends which they haven't seen in a long bit of time, be it they moved or they're now a parent and they don't have as much time or some other reason, when you finally get back with that circle again, it might not be the good old days, but you might get like 60% of that. And this comic is an homage to that, just expressed through a fantasy medium. And I'm sure every individual can relate to some of the things said in this. I haven't even mentioned the action. There's some good action by the end of the third book, after this first one is launched and we go on to the other two. A lot of the battles are hard earned, and a lot of the action and the repercussions are definitely expressed very well to something, to a point that you're heavily going to enjoy and say, you know what, I enjoyed reading that, or I enjoyed obviously the art and the lettering, but I enjoyed that story. I didn't feel like I was being preached to. I just enjoyed watching this play out and watching what these characters would do. I could keep rambling, but I'll give it back to you, Phil.
I was actually going to give you the floor to tell about the book, but since you've done that, first we'll start with Micah, who's been quiet for a while. Sorry, Micah, we've kind of put you in the
It's all
background.
right. I don't talk a lot. It's fine. So it wasn't y'all being like talking where I couldn't. I just don't talk that much.
You're the letterer. That's why you're doing everybody else. You're letting them talk. You just put it on the page. So where can we find you? Are you available for commission work? Please tell us.
Definitely. Always looking for more work, especially looking right now, kind of towards the end of the year. A lot of stuff ended, and I'm looking to fill that up. But I'm always looking for more work because I don't want to have to do real work anymore. I'm too old to go back to doing construction at this point, so I gotta keep working. You can find me on all the social medias. It's usually, my name's pretty unique, so if you look up Micah Myers, you'll find it. It's at Micah Myers for most things, except for Instagram, where it's under Micah_Myers because some lawyer has it. I have a website portfolio, MicahLettersComics.com. I have an Etsy store where I sell buttons that I make out of old comic books. You can look me up there. I also have my own comic called The Disasters that you can find it on Global Comics. The first issue is free, and then the second issue you have to like join Global Comics, and then you get like a bunch of stuff for free, or not for free, but you could read a bunch of stuff if you join the service. I have in stores there's recently American Psycho from Sumerian that I lettered, Voyage Day Gourmet from Mad Cave and Maverick, Vixen NYC from DC Comics. There was a webtoon comic, but now they're putting it out in little volumes in stores. That's some of the recent stuff I've done, so look for it in stores.
Very cool. Micah Myers has an extensive resume if you need a letterer. And trust me, as an indie comic creator, you need an editor and you need a quality letterer. And I cannot emphasize that enough. If you think you can skip on those or chintz on those, you're going to ruin your book. That's fact. And Micah is a letterer that is going to make your book shine. So please go check him out and hire him. He's got kids to feed, and he's a pro. Dan, as if we don't, know this, but tell us where we can find you, what you're up to, and are you available for indie work?
I'm available always, but my brother and I get booked up pretty fast. So just get in touch with me on Facebook. You can do it through Messenger, and I'll make time to talk to you. And I'll work with your budget, and we'll schedule something out. The more popular I get, again, I get booked up fast. So, just get in touch with me, talk to me. So Dan Kemp on Facebook, DANKEMP, pretty simple. God made it for everybody simple. And just messenger me. I have 5,000 friends. It fills up, but hey, there's Glenn saying hello. Glenn's one of the greatest people, and Glenn knows. I talk to everybody. So just take time to get in touch with me, even if you just want to shoot the shit about philosophy. But I treat indie comics exactly like I treat Marvel and I treat DC and I treated Image. It's just I put in 120%, and my brother does too. And it's just that's our pride and joy, is seeing indie comics grow. Because when listen, the most important thing in the world is being a creator of your own IP or your own property. And you'll learn that in comics. You know, it's great to go and work for somebody, but develop your own thing, develop it with people like Ray's doing, and look for a distributor like Phil. It's so important to have the proper team of people to do comics. If you don't, you're going to burn out. You're going to be a quick flame. And when you have the proper team, you have longevity. Once you have longevity, that's when it starts. You know, don't ever base anything off the first book sales. Don't base it on the second book sales. This is about sticking to it, creating
Right.
something, a property, you know, for people. And you have to have the heart to stick through it. And you need a team of people that help you make it that high quality, as well as the support system. I mean, it's all there, and the money's not necessarily there in the beginning, but it does appear if you put in the longevity.
I'm glad you
Believe
said
me.
that.
Mhm. That's what we're about. We're about sticking it through. We're about realizing our creations, and I'm doing the same, but I'm also helping others take their creations, you know, way beyond. So, you know, it's just this. Hey, listen, when you start comic books, it's all family. You know, it's best not to talk low about anybody, even if you've had a bad experience. It's best to bring everybody up. There's not competition, it's a light competition. It's you competing with yourself, presenting entertainment to other people. Stick it through, put in the practice, you know, and you'll see it pay off. It's a long martial art, I'm telling you, from start to finish. And the people that are in for it for the longevity are the people that have created family and have created the right teammates and created the right support system. So I don't know that I've got too much to say. If you want to shoot the shit with me, pardon me, if you want to talk to me, get in touch with me. I'm a sailor mouth, and you know, I'll always bring you up, you know, because that's what it's about.
He's really
So, but
good
hey,
at
thanks.
discussing topic. He's really good at a conversation,
Yeah,
be it business or
that's
leisure.
right.
It's always a good conversation.
Yeah, you know, that's what we're here for. Humans are together because of communication and respect. And so always look to give people the highest level of both, always, you know, and it will pay off because all your dreams will pay off. But it's the highest level of communication, the highest level of respect that we can show each other. It's one big family. And even though Marvel and DC don't get that, Todd McFarlane gets that. The indie creators get that. You know, this is all in it together. And more creations, the better, you know? And it's just, it's all about bringing each other up. And we need teams to do that. It creates the longevity, you know? So, yeah, so, you know, God bless everybody. You're all, you know, it's fun for me. You guys put on a crazy show tonight. I've never done this before. So, you know,
It's a
people
good
don't
time.
see me in public ever. Yeah,
I
so
popped a cherry.
I'm a reclusive artist. Hmm?
I popped your cherry. Uh, well, I'm glad
So
you came on.
we
We
should all
appreciate
grab
it.
beers and do this again. So, you know,
Where would be our
and
meeting
you know what would
place?
be fun? Hmm?
Where would be the meeting
I don't
place?
know. It just sounds like like we should just get together monthly and just talk about what's coming out. I mean, it's a good crew of people that we have, and it's easy talk. And I'll bring my brother in, and it's just, you know, as I say, if we're all keeping a high respect level for each other and the other artists in the industry, it should. That's my only rule. You know, if I ever go public about, you know, or do these podcasts, that's it's a rule of thumb. You know, I just people don't need to hear bad things about each other. It's a waste of time, you know, for God's
We
sakes.
definitely have to lift each other
It's
up.
art, you know.
Well, there goes what I was going to
It
say about
is.
Ray for the outro.
This is true.
And God bless us all, right? You know, it's
Yeah.
tiny or
Tiny
the
Tim.
Mighty Tim.
God
Christmas
bless us,
story.
everyone.
That's it.
So
But it's really
Ray,
the truth. So,
Ray, where are they going to follow you to get updates on the Madcaps? Besides my page, where are they going to find you?
You can find me as DM Ray on Facebook. My profile picture right now is that main Jimbo cover. You can also follow the Madcaps on my own Facebook page, which is, if you just type in the Madcaps, it will show up. It'll
You
have a
can
similar
drop the
image.
links in the chat.
Definitely, I will do that. And you can also find me on Instagram, known as Raymond the DM. DM Ray was taken, unfortunately. And those would be the big spots. There's obviously going to be a Kickstarter URL to follow for when the Madcaps launches. And that'll be up in the not too distant future. Keep your eyes out for that. That's going to be the big one. And we will be definitely talking more about this in the upcoming weeks. I know I've already said this, but I am relieved and excited to finally be able to share this stuff. I told Phil last time I was on here, it's been 2 years of me getting this going, and a lot of satisfaction and catharsis is about to happen. That's for darn sure.
Very cool. And just again to wrap it up, I'm looking forward to working with you, Ray. Dan, I hope to work with you, on projects in the future, and Micah as well. I wish you all the best of success. I really do. I agree with you. We have to start getting along in the industry and understanding that if what you're doing is worth it, you don't have to worry about anybody else. Your competition, like you said, Dan, is being a better person tomorrow than you were today. That's your competition. Let's all lift each other up. Let's make this a strong community.
Yeah. And let's all get each other jobs in comic books, for God's sakes. These should be full-time jobs for people, and that's so. As we deal with it professionally and respectfully, and at the highest level, it's gonna grow. So might as well. So many indie artists have second jobs. It's just, let's get rid of that idea. You know what I mean? So let's get them the full-time job in comic books nonstop. It's so important. So yeah, I mean, we're a loosely strung piece of the industry right now, and we can get together by respecting each other completely. And it will pay off. It's going to happen within 2 years, and you're going to see a lot of progress this year. So
I agree.
I don't have anything else to say. But it's we gotta support indies. So
I agree. But guys, have a great night, and we look forward to seeing more from you online and in stores. Ray, we'll be talking. Madcaps is coming spring 2024, so keep a close eye on Ray's pages and Philbo Publishing, because we'll be coming out with more announcements, more updates, more content. It's time to kick some indie ass.
It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it, and I really appreciate you facilitating this, Phil, and taking a chance on me for publishing my work, and all of the artists that I've been able to work with and facilitate in my project myself. This has just been a terrific first-time experience. I'm looking forward to keeping this going.
Cool, and don't forget to follow Micah's OnlyFans account.
Gotta make the money.
Gotta pay for those kids.
That's right.
You guys take care. Have a great night and much success.
Have a good night, everybody. Good to see you.
Later. See you guys.
See ya. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. The Madcaps is a D&D type fantasy comic book coming from DM Ray of Attunement Inc., who is going to be published by Philbo Publishing. They are on our lineup for this year. As you know, we have several books. Fumigators starting in January. Alejandro Rojas. We have Night issue 5 after we had a successful trade paperback campaign by Guido Martinez. We've got Apollo by Kevin Stewart. We've got Light Warriors by Rod Ramos. So Philbo Publishing is growing. We have many titles coming out, and that doesn't even include my titles. Tragedy, Withered 2, Dynamics 2, Arcane Syndicate, Displaced, Diary of Dread Volume 2. Papa, the sequential art edition book. It's going to be a busy year for Filbo, and if you don't know us, you're going to get to know us soon. And I think you're going to like what you see. All right? Please support indie, even if it's not Filbo. Follow other people, Carlos Rafael, Lee Giles, Charles W. Morgan. There are so many indie guys out there busting their humps, and women, of course, busting their humps, trying to give you quality entertainment. So please go give them a try. Seriously, whether it's once a month or once a week, if you could just put $10 to $15 aside and support an indie book, give them a shot. You never know. You might have found something that you really love, but you won't know until you give it a try. It's a small investment for $10 to $15. Okay? And you'll be making a big difference in someone's life. And hopefully they'll pay it forward and it'll keep going. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Happy New Year. I hope this year brings everyone health, wealth, success, however you deem it, prosperity, however you deem it, love, happiness, and peace. Just peace. All right. Happy New Year. Keep an eye on Filbo Publishing. We are just getting started. I'm going to leave you with what I always leave you with. Be legendary and have fun storming the castle.